Coming up on Horse of the West, it's the National Reining Breeders' Classic Open Championship from Tulsa, Oklahoma. A huge show pen and an even bigger show. By number of entries, it's the biggest in NRHA history, and it almost didn't happen at all due to COVID.
We're just happy to be here, for sure.
Nathan Piper and Patriot will face off once again with 2019 NRBC co-champs Jason Van Landingham and a Vintage Smoke, in a deep class including legends of reining and talented up-and-comers.
That's the challenge of what we're in right now. Our industry is so deep. There are so many great horse trainers. There's so many great horses out there.
We'll have the highlights.
Coming up on Your Horse Inside and Out, sponsored by Behringer Ingelheim, we're going to talk about topical anti-inflammatories like Surpass.
The Western horse was a master of a hard world, pitted for centuries against half-wild bovines, ferocious predators, brutal weather, and the sheer size of the country they had to cover. Their descendants are still nimble, fast, and courageous, with a rock-solid disposition that makes them beloved the world over. In this next half hour, you'll see them in action here on Horse of the West.
Welcome to the Built Ford Tough Livestock Complex at Expo Square in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and the National Reining Breeders' Classic Open Championship Final. This is traditionally one of the big three events in the sport of reining, but this year, due to COVID-19, it became the largest event in the history of the sport, with more than 5,000 entries and more than 1,500 stalls. The National Reining Breeders' Classic is generally a spring derby, but it was postponed twice and finally moved from Katy, Texas, here to Tulsa.
I've said it's like the perfect storm. All of a sudden, we had a very large show, the NRBC, and then we combined it at a time of year that we were able to add futurities and add the South Central Affiliate Regional Championships, and everybody came.
In the National Reining Horse Association, most derbies are now for horses ages 4 through 7. Futurities are for 3-year-olds. Holding both types of events along with an affiliate regional championship meant the professional trainers brought trailers full of horses and did more riding than sleeping.
It was a little bit of a stress and a long show, but you know what? This management does such a good job putting it together that they made it very easy to get the horses, very easy to make it happen. You know, basically we had all the arenas and all the places to be able to ride. The 3-year-olds love this arena. That's why I always bring my best full crop here, and yeah, it's been fun.
It's been a great show. It's been amazing to be able to have this, and just thankful to have a place to go show these great horses, and then have the fraternity as well, and they've done a great job. Cheryl runs a really awesome horse show, and NRBC is always a favorite, obviously, and it's just, it would have been a shame to not have it, and it gives our owners and our riders and everybody a great chance to keep doing what we love.
They gave us a Sunday off, no horse show, between the 2 weeks, and that was really helpful because we have to ride in the middle of the night, and you know, we got to get ready, and it's hard we get tired after 2 weeks of horse shows.
First up is NRHA $2 million rider Casey Deary of Weatherford, Texas. He's won about everything in reining except the NRBC, and this may be his best shot yet. Casey's qualified the maximum of 3 horses to this final, including a pair who are full brother and sister, and out of the mare that established Casey as a rider to be reckoned with, his first NRHA Futurity Champion, America's Next Gun Model. This is America's Supermodel, a 5-year-old mare sired by NRHA $2 million sire Walla Walla Whiz. Casey rode this mare to victory at the All-American Quarter Horse Congress. He and his longtime client, Rob Curtis, went to look at this mare originally as a weanling, but Rob told Casey he was absolutely not going to buy her.
And so the next day, Rob comes out and he says, "Well, what'd you think?" And I said, "I felt that way about one other female and I married her." He said, "Oh crap, go buy her."
Casey's glad he did. America's Supermodel, now owned by the Whitmarsh-Archese Partnership, puts a big 224.5 on the board to hurl down the gauntlet to the rest of the field.
Well, she's been an exceptional mare her whole career. She was so much like her mother. There were places where Walla definitely helped her, you know, made her a little flatter, a little easier to ride.
Besides Casey, there was only one rider with the maximum of 3 horses qualified for the final, and here is the other one, Danny Tremblay of Overbrook, Oklahoma.
Casey's got a lot of experience, but I never had 3 horses in the final, so that was a first for me. It's different to get them ready right. I didn't have many times between my horses, but I enjoyed it. I mean, it's kind of a dream adding 3 horses in the level 4 final. It's a big accomplishment for me.
Danny's first horse, Run for a Million shootout champion PS Mega Shine Chick or Crush, slipped and fell on a rollback. Fortunately, Danny and the horse are okay, and Danny is back now on Tinker with Dreams. This is a 6-year-old stud by Tinker with Guns out of NRHA Futurity Reserve champion This Chick's Done Dreamin'. Tinker with Dreams won the low roller reigning Futurity and was reserved at the high roller. Danny started riding him after he was purchased by Diamond Dub Quarter Horses, and here in Tulsa at the NRBC, he has a pretty run, earning a 221.5 from the judges.
Pushed him really hard tonight. It was the first time I had a big event in the final with him, and he gave me what he had. I mean, we had a little bubbles, but nothing major, and he's proved me that he wants to be a nice horse again and again.
It's a 220.5 for Gabe Hutchins of Joseph, Oregon on Lovin' Ya by NRHA $1 Million sire Gonna Trash Ya.
Yeah, I bought him late in his 4-year-old year. Made the finals at the Derby on him last year, and I feel like we're just finally starting to get hooked up and really get going, and he put everything together for me here this week. He's been so good in the pen this week.
Jason Van Landingham of Whitesboro, Texas is an NRHA $2 million rider and 2-time NRBC champion. He shared this NRBC Open title last year with Nathan Piper and Patriot. This year, Jason's riding a pair of horses, and here's his first, Shining on Rough, a 4-year-old stallion owned by Vaughn Zimmerman by Vaughn's stud Not Rough at All. Jason got this horse to ride at the end of last year and says he is still trying to get the stallion locked into him. They end up with a 221.5 from the judges.
So I had to adjust how I was showing him a little bit, and then once we got through that, I mean, he showed excellent tonight and in the go-round. I look for him to be a big-time horse next year.
Sean Flaherty of Springfield, Ohio is a member of the NRHA Hall of Fame and reigning's all-time leading rider. He's a 4-time champion of the NRBC, and this year he has qualified Bill and Patty Fingland's Spook's Got a Spark by NRHA $2 million sire Spook's Got a Whiz. They come away with a 220.5. This is Patriot by NRHA Hall of Fame member and $5 million sire Smart Spook. Nathan Piper of Whitesboro, Texas, tied for this NRBC Open Championship last year with Jason Van Landingham. Nathan and Patriot, owned by Shannon and Herschel Reed, lay down another strong run here in Tulsa, and it's going to be close. The word from the judges, a 223.5, which puts Nathan Piper and Patriot in second place.
He's wonderful. He is. He's the whole package, and he does it for me every time. He goes out there and competes. He's got a huge heart. You know, he's very stoic. Just to be around his personality is very stoic, and he does. He just, you know, he's proud and goes out there and does his hardest. He's good.
Casey Deary's back now on the second of his trio of finals horses. Gonna Be a Bright Star was supposed to be a non-pro horse for owner Todd Nyberger, but they decided he could be competitive in the Open. Interestingly, the same thing happened to Todd after he bought the horse Patriot to show himself and then decided he was really an open caliber horse. Once again, Todd is willing to turn over the reins.
Todd was gracious enough to let me have a crack at him, and really the first goer, and there was the first time I actually showed him. I cruised him through a class down in Waco earlier in the year, and he was really, really good, but that's the first time I really put my hand down and tried to go.
Casey and this 4-year-old stallion by ARC, Gonna Be a Big Star, have already proven they have what it takes to play in the top ranks, winning the NRBC prelims with a 225. They mark a 221 here in the final. So Casey holds on to first on America's Supermodel with a 224.5. Nathan Piper is in second on Patriot with a 223.5. When we come back, Casey has another horse to go as he vies for his first NRBC championship, one he says is probably the most talented horse he has ever ridden, and that says a lot. Jason Van Landingham will also be back on his second horse, the one he rode to a reigning Triple Crown, victories at the NRHA Futurity, NRHA Derby, and NRBC. Jason could make history with a repeat victory here in Tulsa, but that is not why he thought he might have to call 911 earlier in the day.
I thought, man, I'm going to have to take some deep breaths here before my chest explodes.
We'll find out about that. Also, Dr. Joe Carter talks about pain relief for your horse without pills, pastes, needles, or stomach side effects.
You're watching Horse of the West on RFD TV.
Welcome back to Horse of the West. We're in Tulsa, Oklahoma this week for the National Reining Breeders' Classic, which was moved here from Katy, Texas due to COVID-19. Casey Deary is sitting first with a 224.5 on America's Supermodel. Nathan Piper and Patriot are in second with a 223.5. Casey had 4 horses in his string ready for the NRBC, but could only show 3, so he asked his good friend Jordan Larson, NRHA $2 million rider, to catch ride one of them, and Jordan was happy to do it because this is a mare who's been very successful. Lonely at the Top by NRHA $12 million sire and Hall of Fame member Gunner out of Hall of Fame mare Wimpy's Little Chick. They earn a 222.
Yeah, Casey's super easy to follow for me because I understand his program and I've ridden after him a little bit before. And it's pretty simple and straightforward and really confident horse. Just trying to get my timing with her and, just become a kind of a cohesive pair in such a short time. And she's good-minded and simple, and he gave me a good one to show for sure.
Trevor Dare of Purcell, Oklahoma is riding Jersey's Baby Driver by Yellow Jersey out of the big-time producer Winder Up Chick. Trevor's ridden this horse since he was a 2-year-old and says everybody calls him Hercules.
Because he's always just been kind of a real strong horse for his age. He's just a 4-year-old, and I don't know, he's like a little Hercules.
Trevor and Hercules earn a 223.5 from the judges to tie Nathan Piper and Patriot for second. Here's $5 million rider Andrea Fappani of Scottsdale. He's won this event 3 times and this year has qualified 2 horses. This is Tim Anderson's Gun Done It, a 6-year-old stallion by Gunner. Andrea just took this horse over from Craig Smersall, so they haven't had much time together, but they're able to pull down to 224 and move into second place.
He surprised me in the fact that I knew he was a nice horse, but I haven't been on a 6-year-old that's that honest in the pen, meaning that he's just waiting on your cues the whole time. So I don't know if Craig does it like that, I want all of his horses, or if it's just a horse that's that good. But either way, it was fun to go around.
Matt Palmer, who's based in Campbell Hall, New York, earns a 220.5 riding Jeffrey Levine's 7-year-old stallion Gonna Trash the Place by NRHA $1 million sire Gonna Trash Ya.
He's probably one of the most athletic animals I've ever sat on in my life. He has so much heart that sometimes when you're training, you have to back down a notch because he gives so much, and then he'll put himself in trouble because he never wants to be there. And that is such an amazing thing. That's also such a learning curve for myself to be able to have the opportunity to ride a horse that has that much ability.
And it's a 220.5 for Francesco Martinati of Whitesboro, Texas on Smoking Trash, also by Gonna Trash Ya, out of the Hall of Fame mare Snippo Gun.
He's just an incredible horse. He's 4 years old and he still have like 3 years in front of him for these special events. And I'm just looking forward, and I think he's getting better and better and better every time.
Brian Bell of Valley View, Texas has 2 Bell family homebreds in this NRBC final. Both are by the late $2 million sire Hollywood's Tinseltown out of C. Miss Hollywood, who also died recently. Getting 2 offspring from that mare qualified for this NRBC final is just a bit emotional for Brian and his dad, George.
C. Miss Hollywood actually died this summer, and she's just been a family deal all along. My dad's been in love with that mare and all of her full sisters and everything. His whole life has been around those mares.
Brian comes away with a 222 on Mr. Royal Hollywood. So Casey Deary is still in the lead with a 224.5 on America's Supermodel. But here's her full brother now, a year younger, also by Walla Walla Whiz out of America's Next Gun Model. Casey has had a hard time getting this 4-year-old stallion America's Next Top Gun shown cleanly, but he has high praise for his abilities.
Probably the most talented horse that I've been on. There's not a weak spot in him. He's absolutely beautiful to look at. Conformationally, he's great everywhere. He's feely and explosive, but he's super quiet, and he's a beautiful loper. He belongs to Jody and Joel and Puno. They bought him from the Archesi family as a yearling.
Casey says he has put more pressure on himself over this stallion than just about any other horse he's ridden, but here at the NRBC, it finally all comes together. Casey gets the ride he's been aiming for. The word from the judges, a 226.5 and the lead for Casey at America's Next Top Gun.
And he just tries so hard. The first go of the Derby, we walked in and he turned so hard, and when I shut him off, he slipped and nearly went down, and we were facing the wrong way. So that was a real heartbreak for me. So it's great to finally get him shown to what I know he's capable of.
But Jason Van Landingham and Triple Crown winner of Vintage Smoke are yet to go. We'll be back with the conclusion of the NRBC Open Championship Final from Tulsa, Oklahoma coming up. Plus, we'll meet the winner of the Yellowstone Rookie Shootout from the NRBC and show you this year's unique trophy. Hint, it's way bigger than a bread box. Be right back.
You're watching Horse of the West on RFD TV.
Welcome back to Horse of the West. This is the NRBC Open Championship Final, and right now Casey Deary of Weatherford, Texas is sitting at the top of the leaderboard with 2 horses, a full brother and sister, in first America's Next Top Gun and in second America's Supermodel. But Jason Van Landingham has one more horse, and it's a spectacular horse, a Vintage Smoke by NRHA $2 million sire, a sparkling vintage. Jason and the 5-year-old stallion owned by Diane Mesmer captured Reigning's Triple Crown, winning the NRHA Futurity in 2018, the NRBC in 2019, and the NRHA Derby this year. Jason is the only rider to do that twice. With a win here in Tulsa, Jason and a Vintage Smoke would be the first Triple Crown winners to repeat in either of the 2 Derby-aged events. He'll need a 227 to take the lead. The score from the judges, a 224.5.
You know, he went in there and kind of overtried tonight, and I think I overshowed him a little bit. I probably could have backed off just a hair and might have been a little cleaner and crisper and might have been able to give Casey a run for his money at the top there. But, hey, it was his night, and congratulations to him. And you know, he's a great friend, and I'm proud of him.
Jason's also proud of his 18-year-old son, Dalton, who captured the NRBC Open Championship in levels 1 and 2 earlier in the day.
I was hurting. I was so nervous. I thought, man, I'm going to have to take some deep breaths here before my chest explodes.
But we're not done yet. Our final draw of the 2020 NRBC Open Championship is Ruben Van Dorp of Aubrey, Texas, riding Spook's Got a Crush by Spook's Got a Whiz. Ruben has not made this final in a while, but he makes up for lost time, laying down a beautiful run and firing up the crowd to earn a score of 224. That'll put him in a tie for 4th with Andrea Fappani and earn him the Level 3 Open Championship.
He was so honest, so easy. I got a little greedy on my last stop, tried to go even bigger, and I blew it, which that was an expensive little mistake, but he's cool. I love him.
So Casey Deary earns his first NRBC Open Championship on board America's Next Top Gun and ties for 2nd on America's Supermodel with Jason Van Landingham and a Vintage Smoke. America's Next Top Gun owner Jody Puno is pumped.
Amazing. We've been seeking this for a long time, so couldn't be happier. And obviously Casey did really well on the mom and loved the sister. Yeah, when we got him, we knew he was going to be special. So.
But that doesn't mean she was sure of the outcome when she was watching this final.
After he got through his spins, we've been having a lot of problems getting him to shut off. He fell down at the Derby, he fell down at Congress, so he just tries so hard and he's so fast and so physical. So this time, I actually didn't watch. I had my head down and let him get through the spins, and then I looked up and watched the rest because it's so hard. You just never know.
Casey and the owners of his 3 horses take home a total of $129,500, $75,000 of that for the win. When we come back, the Yellowstone Shootout includes a trophy that will have to go home in a horse trailer.
Your Horse Inside and Out with Dr. Joe Carter, sponsored by Boehringer Ingelheim.
Topical anti-inflammatories are a group of drugs that we use to treat, obviously, inflammation in a horse's legs or joints. There's 2 different methods of getting anti-inflammatories to the horse. One is parenterally, meaning through ingestion or injection. The second way would be topically, where you're actually applying the anti-inflammatory to the inflamed or swollen part of a horse's leg. And so we have different drugs that are used to do that, and the most effective drug for a topical anti-inflammatory is a drug called diclofenac. It's in the same group of non-steroidal anti-inflammatories as bute, banamine, and ketofen. It's just administered this way. It's a much safer way of delivering the drug to the horse's sore area. And so in doing that, you run a less chance of seeing some of the complications that we see with anti-inflammatories like stomach ulcers or kidney problems, things like that. It's not to say that diclofenac or Surpass is 100% avoiding those problems, but in all my years of practice, I've seen no secondary effects from using Surpass on a horse's leg. And so how this works is this diclofenac comes as a cream in this Surpass, and then you rub it into the horse's sore joint until it disappears, which I tell my clients to rub it just for 10 minutes. You know, take the decision making out of it to where you don't have to worry about that. So Surpass is a great non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug that can be used topically, and I'm Dr. Joe Carter with Your Horse Inside and Out.
Your Horse Inside and Out is sponsored by Behringer Ingelheim. Before making any decisions about your horse's health, be sure to contact your veterinarian.
Welcome back to Horse of the West. One of the coolest features of the National Reining Breeders' Classic is the Rookie Shootout, sponsored by the award-winning Paramount Western hit show Yellowstone. This year's champion is Madeline Calloway, a junior at Baylor University, marking a 2:14.5 on electric coated trash by Electric Code.
So actually, before all this, I wasn't planning on coming to the show at all. It was kind of last minute, and my trainer was like, okay, you're just showing the rookie classes, like that's that. In the first round of the rookie, that was on Monday or Tuesday, I believe, he was pretty good. He just went in there, did his thing. I was like, okay, like I'm cool with that. He was really good. And then on Friday, yesterday, he was super good again. He bumped it up a gear, and I was like, okay. I was not expecting him to do that well, and then today he really showed his stuff, and it's been a really fun show and a great learning experience so far, so yeah.
This year's trophy is large as life, a full-size horse emblazoned with the Yellowstone Rookie Shootout logo and bearing that famous Yellowstone Ranch brand. Coming up in the weeks ahead on Horse of the West, better barrel races action from the Ardmore Futurity and Dinosaur Classic qualifiers for RFD-TV The American Rodeo, Rein Cowhorse from the NRCHA Snafflebit Futurity, and reining from the Arizona Best of the West and the Low Roller Reining Classic in Nampa, Idaho. I'm Jennifer Reynolds. We'll see you then.